Morning everybody, welcome to IndyCar on a very wet and blustery day down here in Partick. My name's Gordon Ross. At the top of the show you might have seen the basic headline that I've put at the head of this particular broadcast this morning, and that is that in the newspapers this morning, particularly in the Business Telegraph first edition this morning, it's been revealed that the Office for National Statistics has shown us that there is £490 billion missing from the UK economy. Now, £490 billion, £500 billion worth of cash missing from the UK economy. How did they manage to lose such an enormous amount of money and only now be able to reveal to us that it is in fact gone? What's actually happened is over a quarter of the value of the UK economy has vanished in smoke in the space of 24 hours. Now, anybody in the right mind would believe that that's not possible, that money cannot just have vanished overnight. And in fact, it looks increasingly more likely that rather than the money having just disappeared, that this loss of value, this is the whole value of the UK economy taken as one giant package. Including everything, including inward investment, including trading surpluses or deficits, including the value of its internal economy, in other words, the retail economy, everything included. At one stage, we had supposedly over £400 billion of surplus. The American banks this morning, looking at the ONS figures, are absolutely shocked. The jaws have dropped to the floor this morning as it's been revealed by the Office for National Statistics that they have underestimated the drop in the UK economy by a factor of a quarter of the entire value of the economy. It's an absolutely stunning figure. To put this in some kind of context for you, that is something like 15 years worth of the Scottish Government's funding. So in other words, that's 15 years worth of Scottish economic development, economic activity. The next decade and a half's worth of Scottish funding has vanished from the UK accounts basically overnight. Now, people are basically saying this morning this cannot possibly have happened. In 2015, sterling was devalued in order to readjust the value of the UK economy so that people buying pounds would be buying them at the correct value. Now it seems that was a phony. It just seems to have been completely underestimated, that the UK economy has fallen off a cliff edge since 2015. Now that's just not possible for that to happen without people noticing it. The only conclusion I can draw from this, and this is my personal conclusion, nobody else's, is that the Office for National Statistics have been sitting on this information for the last year at least. And it certainly since the Brexit vote last year, they have not been revealing the damage that the Brexit vote has been doing to the UK economy. Now, another figure that came out of the article this morning in the Telegraph is that inward investment into the United Kingdom, and I'm not talking about Scotland here, just the rest of the UK, has dropped to less than a quarter of what it was before. In other words, 3/4 of the inward investment going into the rest of the United Kingdom has simply stopped. People have stopped investing in the UK. Also, the foreign markets have stopped buying pounds. They are unloading pounds at a rapid rate, and American banks, particularly the ones who deal with large sums of money, where pension fund managers are buying pounds as a speculation against their value, are advising them now to stop doing this because they now feel that the pound may just simply go, because the way things are looking at the moment, the pound could drop by another 20%, is what foreign bankers are saying. Now, this has been concealed from the British public for the last year. As far as I can see, the Office for National Statistics are supposed to be independent, unbiased and fair arbiters. They're supposed to tell us the truth. But in this case, they've told us the truth after waiting for what appears to be 12 months. They've waited until now to let us know the bad news, that the UK economy is basically stuffed. It has had it. A quarter of its value has dropped off in a day, according to them. It's not physically possible to lose £490 billion in 24 hours. This money's been going quickly for a long time. Now, how does it affect things? Well, imagine Mrs. May is going into Europe this very week to take charge, supposedly, of the Brexit negotiations. Now, she's going to go into that particular, supposedly, it's a negotiation, but she's going to go into that negotiation with the Europeans being able to see that the British economy is now sunk. It's now below the water level. It's no longer got any kind of surplus at all. The value of its currency is about to drop a further 20%. Now, there's no way you can enter a negotiation with those sorts of figures at your back. Britain is in its weakest state that I can ever remember. And for Theresa May to go into Europe and expect them to bow down and say, yes, we'll go along with, we'll come some way to helping Britain with its problems, they're not going to bother doing that. Britain has done this to itself. The British government is doing this to us, and now we're left with a country which is fatally weakened already, and it hasn't even left the EU yet. On the other hand, the good news is that inward investment into Scotland has been increasing dramatically and steeply in the last few months. Now, this could be because Scotland is seen or expected to be going to vote for independence, and I think the smart money around the world in the banking sector is on Scotland leaving the UK as soon as possible, because if it waits much longer, our own economy will start to suffer from this exact same disease. At the moment, we seem to be future-proofed by our resources, but these resources are only ours if we become independent. At the moment, they're being squandered by the UK, and with debts the way they are, and with the state of the economy now being so badly damaged by this huge hit, I can't see anything other than our oil and gas being siphoned away into a black hole to pay off the UK's debts at the moment. So it's even more important for us now to push like crazy for independence now, before things get much worse. This is the first of the big reveals, the reveal about how bad things have really got. Now, we can no longer pretend that somehow or other Britain is going to sail away on its own and get all these wonderful new trade deals with all these other countries. Remember that the places Britain has been talking about, America, Japan, and some other Far Eastern countries, these are all protectionist states who have shut their doors to international trade. America is charging 200% on aircraft built in the United Kingdom going into America, and this is before we've Brexited. So we cannot count on any special relationships with anybody. Britain is now finding out who its friends really are. Britain is about to become one of the poorest Western nations on the planet, and the friends that it's supposedly had, these fair weather friends like the Americans, they're going to desert us. The Japanese have already said that they think Brexit is crazy, and they will not be doing business with the UK if it Brexits, for the simple reason that Japanese manufacturers here, mostly car manufacturers, cannot sell into Europe from a Brexited Britain. So the facts are there for us all to see. No matter how the BBC spins this nonsense now, the facts are there in the Tory press, I might add. This is not coming from the National, it's not coming from online hoaxers, it's not fake news. This is a respected British newspaper, a Tory newspaper, that is saying that Britain is basically screwed financially. Its economy is now sinking, and it's sinking fast. And when American banks, the biggest of them, the investment banks and the clearing banks, and the ones who transact these gigantic deals between traders and investment bankers and pension fund managers and hedge fund managers, they do all this business. They can see it from the outside. They can see what these people are doing, and they are backing away from Europe at a rapid rate of knots. They're dumping pounds onto the market. The pound is probably already falling as we speak on this news. I'd be very surprised if the FTSE index is not taking a sudden dive today. We'll wait and see what happens. I'm no financial expert, incidentally, but I can see that the news today is bad. So when we go out and start talking to people about the state of the British economy and how safe people feel, remember that we're not safe. Scotland is going to be safe, but it's expected that we will leave the United Kingdom, because that is the only way for us to save our own economy and to regain control of the assets which belong to us. Otherwise, we're going to go down with the ship. Today's news is devastating. I can't put any other interpretation on it. I'm not spinning this. It is a disaster for the UK. And for the British Prime Minister to go into Europe with the economy in this state is a tragedy. I'd be interested to see how little this particular story gets any airtime on the BBC today. I'll bet you any money that most of the news are leading on the storm today, the weather forecast, and you'll hear very little about this particular disaster. Anyway, I shall leave you with those thoughts. I'm off to go and do some work, and I tell you now, if we don't start fighting for independence now, then it will be too late. We know that they're going to try and close Holyrood later on. As soon as the repeal bill goes through, it looks like we're going for a hard Brexit, and I would prepare yourselves for a very short lead time into the next IndyRef, because I think it's going to come at us much faster than we anticipated. Bye for now.